Shotgun houses are a historic and culturally significant form of housing here in San Antonio. They're less popular these days, but some in our community say the properties can help alleviate a modern problem, our housing affordability crisis. Joining us live to talk about that this morning is UTSA Westside Community Partnerships Executive Director Roger Enriquez. Good morning, Roger. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, first of all, we were just talking during the break. What exactly is a shotgun house?
Well, technically, it's basically a house that's 15 or 20 feet wide and 2 or 3 rooms deep. But the name shotgun comes from the idea that you could shoot a shotgun through the front door and it would go out the back door without ever touching a wall or a window or anything like that.
And you're talking about rehabbing many of these here in our city, but you're also talking about preserving the legacy of that. What exactly are you guys working on?
Well, the Westside Community Partnerships at UTSA is very interested in taking a community assets approach. And we see these little shotguns as really valuable community assets because they really remind folks why they were built in the first place. Many people don't understand that there was a great deal of redlining in certain communities and you could not get a loan. So these shotgun houses were often purchased at local lumber yards and folks would build them on a very narrow lot. So that's culturally significant. There's a reason that our communities look the way they do. And the past definitely pertains to the future. And so it's important to preserve that, to understand, to get a sense of what the future can be like. We first have to understand what happened in the past.
And Roger, you're working with the Office of Historic Preservation in addition to UTSA to identify these. How many have you found in the area?
So we started in Council District 5. There's about 500 still. There was actually a lot more. There was a study done again by UTSA architecture and historical preservation professor that identified many more in the 1980s. We've lost a lot of them because of, they've fallen into a state of disrepair and they weren't viewed as economically feasible. We think that's a big mistake. We want to stop that. We want to help preserve the cultural heritage and the cultural significance of these properties.
And Roger, not only is that historic preservation important, but also the message that they can solve maybe some affordable housing issues here in our city.
Yeah, I think that's the part that gets lost. Many folks don't fully appreciate that if you have a smaller footprint, your property taxes are lower, your maintenance is lower, your holding costs are lower, and so that might keep folks in the home. More than half of the households in Bexar County are 2 people or less. So while it might not be an option for everyone, many folks could benefit from having a smaller footprint home, a so-called shotgun house.
Well, thank you, Roger, for joining us this morning and with that history lesson as well. We appreciate it. We have more on our website at kens5.com if you'd like to read more about their efforts.